How's the wife, Michael?
Good, she's back.
Good, she's back, yeah.
Now, we're live. Sorry for not announcing this ahead of time, but we weren't sure what time we'd start at. So, welcome to the Irish American Heritage Museum's cookery demonstration series. We're back in our studio kitchen, which is kindly donated by Harold and Jean Qualters. We're delighted to be here. We're with Chef Michael Kiernan because this year we have changed our Irish soda bread competition, and so we are still doing the Maureen Farrell non-traditional or family recipe soda bread. Your breads are due into the museum on Friday the 3rd, and then the judgments will be announced on Saturday the 4th, sometime that afternoon, maybe around 1 or 2 o'clock after our soda bread competition. And we have an amazing band and a concert and everything out on the Quackenbush Square to get everybody in the mood for March, so that the breads and porter cake is due in on Friday, March 3rd. So today we're going to do a baking demonstration with the porter cake recipe. Now, we're not stipulating a recipe, we're going to give you a sample recipe and you absolutely can use that. But if you have a family recipe or any other one that you would like to use, you can use your own. You have to give a copy of the recipe as you do every year with the soda bread. So just keep the recipe that you use. But Michael is going to do a demonstration based on Olivia's cookbook. I don't know who Olivia is. It might be a secret family recipe. We'll talk about that in a minute. So you can use that model, but you do not have to. Porter cake, of course, is a kind of a tea cake in Ireland. It's very popular. To be honest, young people hate it. I hated it as a child. Now that I'm older and a bit more sophisticated in my palate, I like it. But it kind of fits into that, you know, barn brack, porter cake, fruit cake. And obviously what sets this one apart from fruitcake is that there is porter or stout in it. So I'm going to hand it over. We have 2 different ones to show you as well, but we're going to just watch Chef Michael, as he bakes it. And we'll go from there. Okay, so live and unfiltered at the Irish American Heritage Museum Satellite Kitchen. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, so this recipe, as Elizabeth said, comes from Olivia's cookbook. We're going to start with 4 cups of flour.
Oh, now, let's talk about the flour.
Yes.
So is this self-raising or plain? We call it self-raising at home in Ireland, or is it plain and you have to add?
We have to add to it. This is
Okay.
all-purpose flour.
All-purpose. Mm-hmm.
So that's a mixture of cake and high gluten.
Okay. Now, normally, or sometimes we recommend Odlum's flour, and certainly the museum we sell, I think we sell plain flour down there. So you would have to add a raising agent to that. And we were saying actually that Irish flour has a little bit less gluten than American flour.
Correct.
So, you know, for those of you who are technically minded, baking is chemistry really. So it does matter what the kind of flour, you know, that you use is.
Certainly.
But you
really
probably
does.
will get away with both, you know,
Yes.
adding an agent or not. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, so then we have the flour in, and the next thing we do is we add all the dry ingredients to the flour. In other words, the leavening agents. This recipe calls for both baking soda and baking powder,
Huh.
which a lot of recipes do.
Yeah.
So it's a half a teaspoon of baking soda.
Now, if you left out the soda, it wouldn't, like if your recipe doesn't have soda, that's okay, right? Once it has one or the other.
Sure, yeah. Depending on the recipe, just follow the recipe,
Yeah.
and that'll be fine.
So Michael has maybe made one porter cake in the run up to this.
Yes. Yes,
So this
I
is
made
not
one.
His forte.
Right.
Yeah, you're excellent at the chowders and all the other things.
I haven't made a lot of porter cake
Yeah.
in my past, but I really liked it. I loved Jean Qualters made a few for us last week, and we tried those, and they were delicious. So I used one of her recipes. I underbaked it a little bit. So
we'll show the. But you did that on purpose to show them what can happen.
So some of the things I learned when I was baking it was that you have to test it with a toothpick in a number of places, not just one place. The other thing too is if your oven, make sure it's 350 degrees for about a full hour.
Yeah.
You need the full
and your
hour.
oven might not be as hot, you know, or it might be hotter, so you have to kind of know your oven. Yeah. It is unfortunate that baking is so much more of a chemistry science like than cook. You know, you can throw in a few things into
you
a
can
sauce or
arrange things at the last minute with cooking. Baking is more of
No.
a science for sure. Okay.
Okay, so you put in the
I
soda.
put in the baking soda, and the baking powder is 1 teaspoon.
So when you guys are judging, I noticed one of the criteria in the judging is soda taste. Like, why
Yes.
can you actually detect soda in a cake like this, or was that
Oh,
just
yeah.
for the bread? You can.
Well, in this one you don't really that much because there's a
Mm.
little bit, but in soda bread you definitely can taste
Wow.
soda if it's too much.
Okay,
If it's
yeah,
just right, you won't taste it at all.
Okay. And can I ask, not that it means anything,
Yeah.
is one acidic and one is alkali, or, does that have something to do with it? Oh yeah, here we
know
go.
the answer.
I
We'll
shouldn't
ask
have
the
asked the
expert
question.
over
Don't
here.
ever ask a question that you don't know the answer to. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
Want to weigh in on that, Harold? Is like baking soda acid or no?
Is it what?
Acidic.
Yeah,
Is the
baking
soda
soda
acidic?
is
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
definitely acidic.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Cinnamon, allspice, and ginger. So with the spices, so it really is a spice cake.
Yeah.
So cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, and allspice.
Okay, good.
Similar to a fruit cake. So-
Absolutely. And this is where you can get loosey goosey if you want to. Like people will put in mace or they'll put in,
Yes.
something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. As far as the amounts, I added a little extra.
Yeah.
Um,
I like it spiced, and some
Yeah.
people don't like the ginger maybe so much. A little ginger. I think the kick of ginger would be nice actually.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I adore allspice, so
Yep. So allspice is a combination of
all
a lot
the
of
above.
different
Yeah,
spices.
exactly.
Of course, so that's why they call it allspice. And then cinnamon too would be sort of the dominant spice
Yeah.
that you would taste.
Which I would say not so in Ireland. Cinnamon is, we do not put it in apple cakes or apple pies. Like, yeah, it's. I'm sure it might be an ingredient in the allspice, but this would not be the flavour that Irish people would love. The ginger, I think, would take over.
Right. So we'll leave a little bit of cinnamon.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like cinnamon, but
Yeah, not
it
too
wouldn't
much.
be one you'd really have. Yeah.
Okay, so all the spices are in, all the dry ingredients are in,
Okay.
and so we are just going to sift that, mix that together.
Now this is where it gets kind of maybe like a cake. Maybe I'm anticipating the recipe. Are you going to cream butter and sugar?
Okay, that's a
it's-
great question. So this is another thing that this is called is a boiled cake.
Oh.
So this is actually the next step would be to take the butter and so with a typical cake recipe made with the creaming method, you would cream the butter and sugar and then add the eggs one at a time. This
But this is
recipe
tricky.
calls for the butter and the porter to be brought to a boil, and at the same time, and I think this is why they do it, is to plump the dry fruit. So in this case, we're using 2 types of raisins and some candied fruit.
Okay.
And also in this recipe is some orange zest and some lemon zest.
Okay. So again, this is where it is. I know for sure we put like cherries in our
Yeah.
one at home in Ireland. There's no call for cherries in this recipe.
I did see a lot of recipes
Yeah.
that called for dried cherries.
Oh god, definitely. Like that's a kind of a must. Even though people sometimes eat around them, like I don't know why. And the other thing is, could you soak your fruit in the stout or porter the night before, and then heat it up with the hot butter today?
So it's funny you brought that up because a couple of recipes cautioned against that.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not even sure why.
Yeah,
It didn't say why.
Okay.
But it said just bring them all to the boil. Maybe they could get over plumped. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not sure if
Yeah.
if that happens.
Or maybe the fruit like soaks in the alcohol. Now, is this the thing, Michael, that it's very important to let this cool?
Yes.
Yeah. So like
Yes,
you have
which
to
may
bring
have
it to the
been one
boil.
of the things I didn't do.
Okay.
I didn't let it cool all the way. I was
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit hasty. And
So this
mixing
is
it all
actually
together.
an essential step. They don't like highlight it in the recipe, but you actually, when you bring the fruit and the butter to the boil with the stout, you have to let that go back down to room temperature before you mix it in.
They do
Yeah.
talk about that.
Okay.
That is very important.
Right.
I believe.
There you go. We're giving you all the inside track on how to win the competition.
Yes. So Jean was kind enough to do this for me earlier today, or else
you,
this would have taken a long time.
Yeah.
But so this is 12 ounces of porter, 3 cups of dried fruit, and again, you can use
Any kind of mixture.
any kind of mixture you want.
Raisins
you know,
or
things that you
tannins
like,
or yeah.
Yeah.
And
Even
you were
use
saying
dates
about-
in this.
Oh, dates, delicious. Yeah, actually dates would be delicious because they're a bit more moist and sweet. Yeah.
Yep.
I cut them up mind you, but yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
everything, they do talk about everything small dice.
And then you were saying either candied peel or just lemon and orange zest. Be delicious.
Correct,
Yeah.
yep.
I wanted to ask you, because you said it would take a long time, does it take longer because of the alcohol to heat that up? Like it would take a long
No.
time for the
No.
stout to get hot?
Not really.
Okay,
No.
no.
Oh, also the sugar.
Yeah.
It's a cup of brown sugar.
Okay.
And so the sugar is,
Gone in and dissolved already?
yep.
Okay.
That's in here as well.
So I think, just while we were looking at the bottle, Michael, would you mind telling us? So it is technically porter cake, but of course you can use Guinness, which might be the most
Correct.
accessible one.
Yes.
Or we have so many fantastic breweries in the capital region. Shout out to all of our friends
Yes.
at Pump House and Emporium Brewing and all those.
You could use an
You
amber
can use any.
or any kind of dark beer.
A dark,
I think
even a dark ale. Is that what you're?
yes,
Oh,
I would
yeah.
say so. I mean, the
I
reason
stay away
porter
from too
is-
many of the stouts that are flavored like chocolate and coffee and oatmeal. Stay away from them, maybe. Yeah.
I would stay away from the real flavored
Yeah.
ones. But of course, porter has hints of chocolate.
It does,
and,
yeah, yeah.
and things like that.
If
So,
Murphy's tastes like coffee to me.
yeah, and coffee.
Oh, they do recommend. Okay, they recommend a little bit of chocolate stout. Gina say.
Yep.
Well, that'd be a nice kind of secret ingredient. Okay, yeah.
All right, so the last thing to do is just to add the wet
Wet.
ingredients into the dry and add 3 eggs.
Okay, now I hate to ask you, Harold is waving at me. Do we put salt into this? Just a
Yes.
tiny,
Oh,
tiny
yes.
bit. Okay.
Sorry, thank you, Harold. I forgot the salt.
Yeah, see. It takes a village, lads, to make a cake.
Yes.
I'm
yes.
eating it.
Salt
so
is
that's
really
okay.
important too.
Yeah, to balance out the flavors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But again, you don't want too much salt because that's the thing you can detect as a chef with a palate. Yeah.
Yep.
And Jean is
Okay.
reminding us she used unsalted butter in that recipe.
Yes, yes,
yeah.
it calls
so
for
you do
unsalted
need the
butter.
salt. Now I have to say, in Ireland, most people would use salted because we only started unsalting the butter very recently.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah. But
Okay.
be aware if you are using the yellow Kerrygold, that's salted, so taste it before you add too much salt.
I'll just talk about this instrument here. This is a zester. Very handy in a kitchen to have.
Right.
So that's how
You
we
could do
get-
garlic or nutmeg or anything with that, right?
Nutmeg is great with that, yes. So you could actually
Oh,
use
nutmeg
fresh
would be good in the cake
Yes,
as well.
we use nutmeg, yeah. Okay. So we have
Right.
3 eggs here.
So you're just going to lightly whisk the eggs.
Yep, I just have them ready.
Okay.
They're from a,
Now, there are other recipes that call for a creaming method, but you're
Yes.
technically making a kind of a batter. Like, it's not going to look like, cake sponge mix. It is going to be thick and gloopy.
yes, yeah. Yeah, it's, one of the reasons it's so thick and gloopy is because, well, it's a rich and moist cake, but also you want to hold the raisins in suspension.
Okay,
so if
yeah.
it's not thick, the raisins will fall
Will
to
all
the
sink,
bottom.
yeah. Which probably will be one of the judging criteria. Like, if all your fruit is at the bottom, you've made suet pudding, and we don't want that.
Yeah, that would form a cakier.
Yeah, on top.
Yep. Okay.
So this really is important viewing to know how to win this cake. We make it sound complicated. It's not. Now, so she that has never baked one in her life. I don't.
It
I
isn't-
think
it
if you
isn't
follow
too
the recipe,
complex.
it's not complicated.
No,
yeah.
no.
You just have to know what the potential pitfalls
Yes. Just don't do what I did.
are. Yeah. Which was not letting that mixture cool down enough.
Right.
So you can see all the fruit going in there. Now, how many? That's a good few. Do we do ounces? No. Cups of fruit.
3 cups.
3 cups. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of a mixture.
Yeah. It smells delicious.
I'd say
It's
so.
really
Yeah.
good.
Oh, now I see your funny looking spoon whisk thing. Is it a
Yes.
kind of a whisk? That's lovely.
Did you want a spoon?
No, that's a
this
good
is
one.
fine.
Yeah. So this should be hand mixed, with a spoon.
They do
Yeah.
say do not overmix.
Okay. And I hate to, when we were young, going to school, high school, I did home economics or domestic science for 1 year, which was the baking and sewing class, and I dropped that as quickly as I could. But there was all these rules about you could stir certain things with a metal spoon and other things had to be a wooden spoon. What's that, and did they make that up to complicate our lives needlessly?
I think they might have made it up to complicate.
Yeah,
lives a little bit.
really? Oh, there was this big thing about how, certain things should not have metal because the metal is cold going into it. I don't know if that was batter though or cake mix or what.
Certainly, you shouldn't use aluminum with acid, or you shouldn't store
Oh, okay.
acid in aluminum. So,
Wow.
that could be.
Or it was just everybody had wooden spoons and these newfangled stainless steel was
Right.
not to be touched because it was the devil's work.
So we just add a little bit at
Oh
a
no,
time.
you're putting these in by a time. Okay, yeah. So that it is super gloopy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is much moister than mine, so I can
Oh,
see.
you can see already. So was that, do you think, because you didn't let the thing cool down?
I might have mismeasured. I don't
Okay,
know.
yeah.
I'm not sure. But this
We'll
looks
show
good.
you what he's talking about in his cake later on, but that is fabulous looking.
Yeah.
But hard, like it's hard to mix, I guess. You'll be working up your biceps.
Yeah. It's a hearty cake. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you would have this.
It looks dense, is what I wanted to say. You know, yeah.
You would have this with tea, I think.
You would have this with tea.
Yeah.
To be honest, even though it's quite moist, I'm eating your one here now, which is lovely. We would probably put a little bit of butter on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not dessert cake, but it would be, 11 o'clock
Right.
in the morning with your cup of coffee, or 4 o'clock in the day, your snack. A lot of families snacked in between meals.
I did
Or
see some
farmers
with
that have a
icing
break.
too.
Icing?
Yeah.
You could put icing. I mean, it's a bit of an
Maybe not.
abomination, but
Yeah. Right.
yeah. I would not advise that for the competition.
No.
Because I think even though we're, not calling it, we're not mandating a recipe, I don't think you should ice it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now the pan, it's
Yeah.
a 9-inch springform.
Yes, and we are going to mandate a 9-inch round pan.
Yes.
We think, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's been lightly
Oiled with the spray
oiled.
stuff.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. They do call for a piece of parchment on the bottom.
Okay.
I found that it really didn't need it.
Okay, especially with the oil,
Yeah.
probably. Mhm.
And Jean thought the same thing too.
Oh.
So
So this is an experiment to see what the difference is.
Pan. It's a good pan.
it's a good
Okay,
pan.
yeah.
This is a Kaufland pan. It's just a really nice pan.
So if you have a good pan, you don't need parchment at the bottom.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Just a good bit of butter or oil. Yeah.
The other thing is make sure your oven is preheated to 350 degrees.
Okay, 350.
Yep.
And this is going to take a good hour.
1 hour
Yeah,
exactly.
mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, so show
All
us. Now, so watch this going in, like it is kind of cumbersome. Like,
So it's a real.
yeah.
Keep.
Like it's wetter than bread, but it's
Yes.
not light and fluffy.
Definitely wetter than bread. It would
Yeah,
not pull away from a
This one's over.
This is
from a
back.
mixer.
Yeah.
There's spatulas if you need one, Michael,
Yeah.
behind you in the pot.
The big ones are in back.
Can I taste that batter?
Oh,
I just
sure.
want to- So I'm going to make sure it's nice. Wait, I'll tell you. Oh god, yeah, it's delicious. I know people are going crazy that I've eaten a raw egg, and I don't actually eat eggs, but I would lick the bowl. That's delicious.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And then we just fill it in all the way around.
Right.
it's
So you're
even.
not pressing super hard, but you're
No.
just getting it all the way out to the edges.
It'll just gravity will take care of most of it. But
And now, unlike the soda bread, there's no cross, going into this. You don't have to mix. No.
no cross.
I know. I liked what you did there. Do you do that to make sure it
yeah,
all goes
just
down?
make sure it
Yeah.
all goes down to the
So
bottom.
he just kind of bounced it off the thing. Okay, good.
and then
it's
in
ready.
the oven it goes.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to show you now the two. Jean made one with this exact recipe. Did you? Yeah. So I'm just going to move the camera. Apologies, everybody. So there's the made one with the recipe. Beautiful. So you can see, look, the edges are a little bit darker. I don't know if that's coming up on camera. The edges are a little bit darker, but it's cooked. And then this was the test one that Michael sacrificed, his cooking prowess for, because he wanted to show you what can go wrong. So can you see the little bit there? Like, this is clearly a small, tiny bit wet. I won't say raw, but undercooked. So now, it was not as bad on the other side, funnily enough, and he did test it with the cocktail stick, to make sure it comes out dry. So you can see that side even isn't as bad. But we think it's because either you didn't let the liquid cool down enough, or the oven was not as hot as you would like. So you people know your own ovens. Some ovens are not as hot as, they should be at 350. So possibly a little thermometer would do the job.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did Do some research about that.
185.
185 degrees.
185 on the inside it has to be, okay.
Yep.
Tell me, Angie.
Want to cut that one?
Oh yeah, let's cut the other one. We're
Let's
going to cut
hope
the
it's
other one.
cooked
Yeah, I
inside.
know, yeah. So
Here's the
we're
big
going to
test.
test Jean's to make sure it is cooked.
Show them the thermopan.
So like it's a dense, you know, if any of you made, oh yeah. Okay, so it does look slightly shaded kind of, but it's perfect. That might just be because there's liquid coming out of the raisins too. Mm-hmm.
That's
It's
a
beautiful. And so look, like your outside is crusty. I don't know if we can do the noise, you know the way sometimes they do. Can you hear that? So it's crusty on the outside a bit.
Bottom is perfect.
Bottom is perfect.
Yeah.
And then the top is that golden brown.
Yeah.
So we're going to put up later on today, we just have one or two little changes to make to the kit, you know, for this soda bread and the porter cake. But this is the announcement. Soda bread is just going to be family only, so that non-traditional recipe, you know, you can add whatever you want into it, caraway seeds or, my God, anything, cheese, it can be savoury, you know, maybe not quite as far as pepperoni, but genuinely you can do whatever you like. And then the other category we've introduced this year, in honour, of course, of our beloved Peter Desmond, who was our other chef who unfortunately passed away last year. So it's the Peter Desmond Porter Cake competition. And all of these things are due into the museum on Friday the 3rd. We'll announce the winners on the Saturday the 4th after our 10k run. We have a big band booked. It's going to be amazing. We're calling it Crack at Quackenbush. So we're working on the title. But we're delighted to have you, Michael. Keep an eye on our Facebook and website for the pack that will tell all you bakers what you need to do. But, you know, start practicing maybe. You did make the one cake before you made this one for us today. So, like, they probably should do a dry run.
Yes, I would suggest it.
Yeah, good. And with the breads, you have to drop off two samples of your bread. With the porter cake, we just ask for one because they're quite big. It's 9 inches. And a copy, don't forget, of the recipe that you did use. So thanks very much everyone for joining us. This will be available to view later on, and we're very excited to see everyone baking in the Capital District and trying out all your porter cakes. Thank you. Take care.